This is for parents who are worried that their child, sometimes a young adult child, is just very confused in his or her career. Like the child doesn't know what they really want to do with their lives. They pick something, they do it with passion, but then they leave it after some time. The child keeps talking about things that don't make sense, that sound irrational, impractical. And the parents are worried that this child might end up like a failure, or this child might end up in huge regrets. So sometimes they are also confused whether they should step in, they should take over and just give the child right decisions, or should they give the child freedom? So I'll give you 5 important points to keep in mind if you are going through a situation like this. So first of all, trial and error, hit and miss. That's very, very normal in any career path. You really can't expect your child to just know what they want to do. So the child will really take their own time. It may take 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And I understand the worry here. The worry is, what if your child simply doesn't have enough commitment? How do you differentiate between just trying new things, like finding the right path, versus just not having enough commitment to see through anything that you have picked? You don't want your child to keep changing everything that they do for the rest of their lives, because then they really wouldn't amount to anything. They wouldn't be able to build anything substantial. But then you don't want the other extreme either, which is they just stick to one thing, and whether they are happy, miserable, good at it, bad at it, they just keep doing it. That's not optimal either. So there's not really going to be a perfect timeline for people here, but you can think of it like this. In their late teens and in their 20s, it's actually fine. If they are genuinely passionate about things, they want to try new stuff and they get bored of it, or they realize that they're not good at it and they want to change. In the larger picture of life, even if it takes them 10 years throughout their 20s to just figure it out, that's actually fine. So you must keep a long-term view on this. Support your child in this journey. But can you support just unconditionally? Like whatever they ask you, whatever they demand, you just fulfill it? Well, obviously not. This brings us to the second point, which is, do tell your child your own financial constraints. You can tell them that this is what we have planned for your education or even your business ventures. This is what we can invest in you, and after that, you're on your own. If your child is young, start having that conversation early on. They should know the limits of the resources that they're going to get from the parents. And this conversation must be had as soon as possible, because the child must not think that they have unlimited resources coming in their way and they can keep trying and shifting things. Once you have defined your financial constraints, then you are pretty much off the hook. Then all you have to do is just give them your emotional support, give them your wisdom. You have to ultimately let them be just on their own. Even if it means they have to rent a shitty apartment, eat mediocre food, and they're not able to buy new clothes, they can't even go to a fancy salon to get a haircut, that's fine. Let the child go through that. And sometimes even if you don't have financial constraints, like you are super rich, in those cases also it's important to define your financial boundaries, which like after which I'm not going to be spending money on you. You have to be independent. Point number 3, yes, sometimes you may see it very clearly from experience that the child is going on the wrong path. You know that this is an impractical choice, and you may have the instincts to just want to take over, want to take the decision for the child. I always say that in the matters of career and love, do not dominate your child. Let them take their own decisions, otherwise you will really regret it. Because let's say you make the decision for your child and they go do it, and ultimately they don't become successful at it, or they start hating their job. It's a possibility that they will really start blaming you for it. The failure and the hating the job might have happened otherwise also if they had made their own choice, but then at least they would have taken responsibility for it because it would have been their choice. In this case, if you made the choice, the blame will come to you. And I know people who are well into their 40s, 50s who are still blaming their parents. You don't want that happening in your family. You don't want that kind of a responsibility on your shoulders. So even if you give your child advice, keep telling them, listen, this is my take. Ultimately, you make the choice. When your child is 14, 15 years or older, they are actually old enough to understand the world at a pretty good level. They can weigh their options really well and they can take informed decisions. So let them. Treat them like responsible beings. Do not take over. Point number 4, they have the right to regret. Sometimes parents think that, if I let him or her make their own choice, they will regret it. So I have to stop my child from this future regret. I'm not doing it for myself. I'm doing it for him. Here I must tell you, your child has the right to make mistakes and regret them. You cannot eliminate regret from their lives. You cannot just control the environment and just give a very happy life to your child. Life doesn't work that way. The child has to find their own way through their own obstacles, struggles, confusions, make choices, realize realize that the choices probably were not optimal, and then learn to make better choices. So yes, there will be nights when your child will be in the bed, crying, thinking, feeling completely hopeless, but that's fine. Instead of preventing this, tell the child to go to therapy, read a book, learn something new to deal with this. That's what's going to make your child a stronger human being. So yeah, if your child is going to regret something, it's not the end of the world, and it's not a reason good enough for you to take over. And the final point for today is, your child has absolutely no obligation to be as rich as you. Sometimes you're analyzing your child's career from your own vantage point. Like, you are probably earning lakhs and lakhs per month, and you're thinking, oh, my child just wants to be a primary school teacher. How will he sustain his lifestyle? I mean, in this home, he's just used to these big cars, this comfortable sofa, these great parties, these expensive gadgets. But if he makes this choice, how will he live? Or sometimes it may just become a status problem for you. My child? How can my child do these mediocre jobs? You might start to feel embarrassed how your child might turn out. Some parents are like, if you can't be rich enough, I might not even like you. So here I must tell you, your child has absolutely no obligation to live at your level. Just because you're earning 1 million a year does not mean the child has to go down that path. They may earn 100 million or they may earn just 10,000. You are no benchmark for your child. The benchmark for the child is their own capability, desires, what they want from their lives. So be prepared in advance that your child can go way above or below you. Well, everybody is prepared for the child to go above. The difficulty comes when the child might go below your level. So just be prepared for that. And if you want to be really good parents, tell them in advance, if you're happy, we're happy for you. You choose whatever career you want, do whatever you enjoy, change however much you like, given our boundaries, and we're there to support you. We're still going to be proud of you, and just wish them luck. That's it for today. Thanks for listening. Do share this with parents who might be a little too involved in their child's career. You might save a family's happiness. Shridhar Life School now specializes in relationship counseling. We start with an in-depth checkup or assessment of your relationship, your strong and weak areas. Now, based on that, our therapists will help you using world-class techniques and interventions which have been developed after decades of research in marital therapy. It's always better if both partners come for counseling, but if for some reason your partner is unable to join, you can definitely start on your own. To book sessions, visit our website shridharlifeschool.com.